Okay, let's talk about big companies and how little a shit they give about you and I. This video is going to be a minor, unscripted rant explaining some behind the scenes stuff with me recently with a video that I am still going to make, that I've talked about in other videos, talked about on stream, and want to make, but how frustrating it's been. Recently I got into Pokemon. I got into playing on the Pokemon client, I got into collecting the Pokemon cards. It's a retro nostalgia thing for me, but also it's a game that I've been planning to try for quite some time, and I've actually ended up really enjoying playing it. One of the reasons it's took me so long to getting around to trying and playing Pokemon is that there was this talk of a new Pokemon client for about a year or so, Pokemon Live, an online equivalent to MTG Arena, I guess, which will be replacing the old Pokemon card game online client. Both names suck. Both of those names suck. The Magic ones aren't much better. So because of this, I waited until we had access to it in the UK, and I started playing on it finally after finding out that Pokemon standard decks are so cheap. And I immediately fell in love with both the gameplay loop being very fun, loving Pokemon itself. I've always loved Pokemon since I was a wee nipper playing Pokemon Red on my Game Boy Color, and also just loving how generous the online client and the game felt, where I was buying physical packs, I was opening boosters and opening boxes and getting digital product alongside it. Something that I've been wanting to do a video on, and I started writing a video on to compare to Magic. How I just wish, I long for the days that Magic would emulate some of Pokemon's online and digital economy crossover. So basically the video that I was writing and making was going to be basically, in a nutshell, telling you that the Pokemon Live client is incredibly generous and people should give it a go, and the game is fun. I was going to do a follow-up video for gameplay. This is all probably happening Thursday, Friday this week. And then directing you all to try out my Pokemon channel, which is a second channel I've got. I'm going to upload a little bit of Pokemon content too. I got a video about whether or not Mr. Mime is Ash's father, whether or not Ash's mum fucked Mr. Mime. That's over on the second channel now. But whilst I'm going through and showing off what you get on Arena when you first log in, what you get on Live when you first log in, how I just much prefer how Live functions in all those regards. During that time, on Friday of last week when I was finishing up the script and getting ready to record, about 2 PM our time, they had to temporarily ban some cards on the Pokemon Live client. Now there's a bit more complexity to it where they banned, unbanned and banned some stuff back and forth trying to figure out how to hotfix an issue. But essentially, Spirit Bomb, Tinglu EX, Klefki, Gorbis, Empoleon V and Aerodactyl V-Star have all been temporarily disabled on the client, and they have been for, as of recording this video, for 5 days and 2 hours. Now, some of that time was over the weekend, so, you know, I do think staff and people making games and stuff should have weekends off too, so I'm not begrudging that. As a really quick lowdown of why they are banned, they are all cards that have an ability on them that stops enemy Pokemon from using abilities. Stack C, as we would call it in Magic, Death and Taxes style cards. Some of them, like Tin Lu and Spirit Bomb, are in the same deck, a deck I was enjoying playing, a deck I recommended to a friend, a deck that my friend then crafted and couldn't play anymore because they got temporarily banned. They were banned because when they were bounced back to hand with, I think it was Penny, was the trainer card, it would create a bug in the client where the opponent couldn't do anything. It would just lock them out of the game. A game exploiting bug. So instead of taking down rank Q or taking the whole game down or whatever, they hotfix by banning a load of cards, which actually makes 1 or 2 decks unplayable. In this case, Ting Lu. Also, Klefki is a key piece in some decks to allow you to play into things like Lost Box, one of the best decks in the format, and has some applications in Gardevoir, the best deck in the format, meaning the standard ladder is now a fucking joke, because there's loads of decks running around that normally get damaged by these cards and now don't have them. It's not quite the same, but imagine how Burn would feel if every life gain card had to be taken off Arena temporarily because life gain was somehow bugged. Now, bugs happen and I get it, but the point of this video and my rant is, why can they not fix this in a day? Why can they not fix this in 2 days? Why does it take 5 days, including a weekend, to fix this? What the fuck? How can they not program 400 to 500 cards to just work? Now, I get that programming and game design and development isn't easy, but just for some context here, okay? And Arena has a load of bugs like this too. And Arena's big one, the Magic equivalent of Pokemon Live, Arena's version of this is like no Pioneer. We just don't have the resources, okay? Magic made $1 billion of revenue last year. $1 billion. Money that the size of that money you'll never see in your lifetime. And Pokemon has more money, or I guess only second to perhaps oil companies and maybe the church. And even then, if God himself and his Catholic church or whatever church you prescribe to has more money than Pokemon, Pokemon is still a bigger media franchise than God. Yeah, I said it. In 2021, the Pokemon company has made $1.6 billion, which actually is wild when you think how close Magic is to matching it in terms of revenue. That might be because the games count as being like revenue for Nintendo. I don't know exactly, and I don't give a shit. My point is, these motherfuckers have so much fucking money, and they still can't make a client that works. They still can't. Look, it's not about a small development team fucking this up. If you are a developer for Pokemon Live or Arena, I have absolutely no ill will towards you. My assumption at this stage is that you are not supported enough. Your billion or $1.5 billion parent company is not investing the time or the money, which is basically time, into you and your product that you're making for end users like myself. If you make that much money, you can pay more developers. You can pay competitive wages to get the best developers. You can pay just more people to work on your product. So it's not a team of people struggling to fix fucking 8 cards on your online client. And this is just an ongoing issue with, like, there's an Arena, they said they don't have the manpower to program all the cards in to get back to Pioneer Legal or all of the old cards of Magic. Meanwhile, Master Duel did more cards than that in a shorter period of time because it looked like Konami invested some money into their product. I know there's issues supposedly with how Master Duel is at the moment. I've heard people murmurings of that, but my point is, it's doable if you have the resources. If you're an indie card game developer or something, I don't expect you to be able to do this stuff, and this sort of stuff is acceptable. When you are a $1 billion corporation, it's not. It's fucking stupid. And the reason this all frustrates me, by the way, is that I've had to take a pause on my economy video and really take stock of how I feel about recommending people try the Pokemon client when one of the main decks or one of the new decks, bear in mind that Ting Lu is a face card of the new set, just isn't playable right now. And I'm like, should I be recommending people to play a client that this happens on? And this is not the first time this has happened either. I watched a video yesterday about someone explaining how this happened in the past. It's just a regular thing that we have on the Pokemon Live client. And I'm just like, fuck. I'm in this honeymoon period where the economic side of it, I use the word economy loosely as no money can actually leave these systems, but Pokemon doesn't take my money and it gives me product when I buy physical. So I'm like, wow, this is a million times better than what Magic does. But then the client has these issues. I can't recommend that in good faith without making this abundantly clear to y'all. The video comparing the economies is coming. I've got most of it written up, but I took a pause to think and talk about it like this, and parts of this have to make it into that video too, because it's just the right thing to do, is to point out the absurdity of this shit. So why? Why? Well, it's because these things still make money. There is an argument that Pokemon Live itself is just a love letter to the card game, but it makes no money because it's all tied to the digital side, right? There's money made, of course, because people are buying physical things and selling the code cards inside. There's an economy there around those. But how much actually matters to the grand scheme of the millions and billions that Pokemon makes is probably very small. So it just doesn't matter to them. They're like, fuck it. You go over there, small team, just deal with it with this shoestring budget. And Magic's a similar thing. But the funny thing about Magic is that the competitive esports dream was the major focus of Magic pre-pandemic. They did a fucking stupid fucking advert saying the world will know who you are with some Mix-a-Lot in it and focused on esports exclusively. Then the pandemic hit and they switched to Commander, and here we are. They weren't investing enough money in Arena to get it to where they wanted to be originally. There's no spectator mode. They never considered multiplayer. They weren't planning to put backwards compatible sets on it at all, and only doing this because of fan backlash. Do you remember when Historic, which was going to be like the Eternal format online, that had all the extra cards plus the standard stuff on it, was going to cost you 2 wild cards per Historic card? Can you remember that? And I ranted then. I'm glad that you turned on that. It is a fucking cash cow to be milked, but they're only feeding that cow on a shoestring budget. And somehow, because of all the trapped, entrenched, enfranchised, and fucking addicted players like myself, these programs continue to work. They continue to milk money from the end user in spite of the fact that they're barely fucking functional at times. Downtime after a set release is fine. Bugs on occasion are fine. Like, I'm not saying you can't make mistakes or problems can't come up, but if you have a $1 billion company with a end product like this, then you should be able to have a team that can fix these bugs quicker than 5 fucking days. God, you seem less greedy than Magic, but then you don't have like a whole portion of your standard environment playable. Fucking hell, Pokemon. It's just a big Regieleki video I got in a box. I thought I'd just hold it up to camera. That's where I'm at. I want to recommend Pokemon to you. And the people who are looking to play on the shitter, in bed, on their phones, on their PCs, whilst they're watching YouTube videos like this on the other monitor. But then the client has these issues like this, in spite of the infinite money that the company actually possesses. And it's fucking stupid and I hate it. Why, oh why can't they treat us a bit more respect and invest in these platforms to get them to be what that they should be, which is honouring classic card games with rich and deep history. Live is another example, like Arena, where there's a whole slew of cards that aren't legal and probably won't be legal for a long time, if ever, because again, they don't have the time or resources. They haven't said that to my knowledge, but it's probably the same excuses that the Arena team would make to excuse the fact that the investment into the program is minimal. Anyway, there we have it. A video where I'm quite unhappy and I have no actual answer for you. I just want to share those frustrations. So that's where we're at. Thanks for watching. Just want to share that frustration with you all, and I'll speak to you all soon. Sound off in the comment section below about your frustration with your favourite digital card game platform, where the people who are making all the money are clearly taking the fucking piss.